Hi everyone, this is Venkatesh Panyam, your physics dude. Today in this class, we are going to learn the basics of the kinematics. So first of all, we should understand what is kinematics and how it is different from kinetics. So let's see the differences between all those stuff. So before I go to what is kinematics, let me tell you what is mechanics. So we should understand what is meant by mechanics. Remember, mechanics, remember, it is the branch of physics. Mechanics is a branch of physics which deals with bodies in motion or at rest under the action of forces. So what is mechanics? It is nothing but the branch of physics which deals with the bodies in motion or at rest under the action of forces. That means when we apply a force on a body, for example, if I take a body, if I apply a force on this body and this body starts moving, okay, like this. Suppose on the other hand, if I apply 10 Newton this side, 10 Newton this side, this body is at rest. Now remember here the body, when I apply a force, the body is in motion. Here when the same forces are applied, the body is at rest. So in mechanics, we'll discuss about both the bodies in motion as well as bodies under rest. Now this mechanics is broadly divided into two categories. One is called statics, another one is called dynamics. What is statics? Static means rest. So that means static deals with the bodies in rest. Dynamic means motion. So this deals with the bodies in motion. So we should understand the difference. Static means rest. Dynamic means motion. So static deals with the bodies in rest, whereas dynamic deals with the bodies in motion. This dynamics is divided into two branches. One is called kinetics, another one is called kinematics. So let us define what is kinetic and kinematics. So first let me define what is meant by kinematics. Kinematics. Remember, it deals with the bodies in motion without any reference to the cause of motion. So remember, since it is a branch of dynamics, so what kinematic deals with? Kinematic deals with the bodies in motion. But remember here, we don't consider who caused the motion. For example, I say that a body is dropped from certain height. The body will fall like this. Right? For this body, u is equal to 0. Then I'll say that a body is projected like this. With some velocity it will go up. Or a body will be thrown from the top of a tower like this. It will be thrown like this. Or a body can be thrown in this way also. A body can be thrown in this way also. And remember, in kinematics, we'll discuss what will happens if a body is thrown. We don't bother who is pulling the body, how the body is moving, what force is acting, all that we don't discuss. So here in kinematics, we use all the equations of motion. Equations of motion, we all know that V is equal to U plus AT, all those equations, V is equal to U plus AT, V square minus U square 2S, and S is equal to UT plus half AT square. These are called equations of motion. Yeah, there is one more equation. Sn is equal to U plus A into N minus half. We'll discuss all this in due course. So remember, in kinematics, we'll discuss about the bodies in motion, but without any reference to the cause of motion. Then what is kinetics? Let us see what is meant by kinetics. Yeah, it is the branch of mechanics, or we can say that it deals directly. It deals with the bodies in motion. It deals with the bodies in motion with reference to the cause of motion. Now you look at, in the previous case, I said without any reference, without any reference. Now here I'm saying with the reference. That is the main difference. Here we talk about who is causing the motion. For example, I say that there is a body and initially it is at rest. When I apply a force of 10 Newton, the velocity of the body changes to some, say, let's say V. That means the body is moving because of this action of this force. And here we use laws of motion. Laws of motion, that is Newton's laws. Here we use Newton's first law, second law, and third law. In third law, remember, in kinematics we don't use the Newton's laws, but whereas in kinetics we use the laws. So here you should understand, in kinetics we'll talk about the cause of motion, how the body is moving when a force 10 is applied, what is the acceleration, and what are other forces that act on the body like friction, all that. But in this, what we call as kinematics, we don't talk about force. I hope you all understood the difference between kinetics and kinematics. So this mechanics is the branch of physics where it deals with the bodies in motion or at rest. It is divided into two branches, as I said, statics and dynamics. Statics means rest, so it deals with the bodies in rest. Dynamics means motion, it deals with the bodies in motion. Dynamics divided into two branches called kinetics and kinematics. So both deals with the bodies in motion only. This deals with the motion with reference to the cause of motion. This deals with the bodies in motion without any reference to the cause of motion. Now, my question is, why should we learn this mechanics? Is there any relevance for us? Yes. If you look at these pictures, you'll understand how mechanics is helping us in our day-to-day life. Look at, if you want to drive a car, yes, we need to accelerate the car. As long as you accelerate, then only the car will move. Otherwise, if you stop accelerating because of friction, because of the friction under the wheels, the car will stop. So in order to aim, there is one more force called air resistance also will oppose the car. Look at the shape of the front face of the car. Why it is streamlined? To overcome this air resistance. So if you don't have that external force, there is some force that has to be applied on the car to overcome this. So how do we apply this force? We have to use fuel. the fuel that is there in the car which helps the car to overcome that. Sometimes when the car stops, sometimes we push the car from backside in order to start it. Okay, so all these things are, I mean, here we require a lot of forces to start the car. And if I want to stop the car, so what we'll do, we'll press the brake pedal. So if you want to accelerate the car or if you want to slow down the car, yes, force is required. So here the car, if you want to keep it in motion, yes, we can keep continuously moving. We can maintain constant velocity for this car. We can accelerate the car, we'll decelerate the car, all that can be done. Uh, Here it is all about motion only. Now coming to the second example where the footballer player is kicking the ball to different heights. So you see that depending on the way he kicks the ball, the trajectory of the ball will change. If you closely observe the way they kick the ball is different at different situations. Here also he is exerting some force on the ball, and because of gravity, remember why the ball is not going like this straight away, why it is following parabolic path, because the gravity acts. Okay, so this is the path, how this is how the ball, I mean football moves. Now look at the cricketer. So whenever a ball is thrown onto the bat, by applying a force, he will change the direction. So here also there is a force acting on the ball. That's the reason why the ball, what called as, changes its direction. So here also we talk about force. Here also we talk about motion and all that. And you can look at this what called as volleyball. And here also you can, if they want to throw the ball to the other part, yes, this girl has to exert force on that, and even these people also will exert force in order to throw it this way. Here also people has to apply force and they'll change the direction of motion, and even the path also change. It depends, sometimes it moves in parabolic path, sometimes moves on a straight and all that. And even you can look at this basketball. So if you want to just put this ball into this basket, yes, this player has to apply a force on it. He is exerting with the help of that. And by the time it comes out, when it hits the ground, it rises up. All these because of ball. These are all mechanics only. Here all we are all talking about the bodies in motion. So like that, have you seen the roller coaster? Yes. In all the cases, there's a lot of applications of mechanics in our day-to-day life. Now let us understand another important thing, that is what is meant by particle and a body. This is a very, very important thing in physics. What I mean by particle and what is meant by a body. There is a difference between a particle and a body. Generally, we consider anything that has negligible dimensions. For example, we all say that electron is a particle, proton is a particle, neutron is a particle, alpha is a particle. So what I mean by particle means its dimensions are very, very small. Okay, that means their length, breadth, and volume are not measurable. Generally, for the particles, they have only one type of motion, that is translatory motion. That means they move only along straight line. And for them, there is no rotatory motion. There is no rotatory motion. Okay, we will take only the translator motion for them, but no rotational motion for them, because since their mass is negligible. And remember, coming to a body, what is meant by body? Anything that has a measurable dimensions. For example, football is a body, okay? And even you can take volleyball. A car is a body. But there is, in physics, sometimes a body also become a particle. For example, you look at an aeroplane. When the aeroplane is in airport, we say it is a body. When the same aeroplane is moving far away from your side, it appears to be a particle. That means its size is continuously decreasing. So from this example, you'll understand this. See, I just show this picture. In this case, if you look at this car, in the first case, I am considering this car as a particle. So when I consider this as a particle, remember here, the weight of the car will act downward. There is one force that balances, that is called normal reaction. This is the applied force. Remember, there is no what called as rotation here. since I'm taking it as a very small thing. Now, if you expand this car, if you enlarge the car, now we call it as a body. When you consider as a body, things are different. Look at here, the weight is acting downward, okay, through center of gravity. But look at, there is a rotation here. There is a rotatory motion also for the car. But in this case, we don't consider rotatory motion. But in this case, we consider rotatory motion. So particles have negligible dimensions, whereas bodies have measurable dimensions. So we talk about bodies in kinematics, okay, and we'll discuss all that thing. Yeah, if you want to understand the further in kinematics, we should understand what is meant by reference frame. This is a very important thing. What is the reference frame is all about? Suppose if somebody asks you where you are. So if somebody asks me where I am, I'll say I am at my house. So house I am taking as a reference. Or if I call my friend, I'll ask him, where are you? He'll say, I'm in shopping mall. Or he'll say, I'm at beach road. See, without giving or without taking a reference, we cannot describe. So a reference frame is simply a coordinate system. Look at X, Y, and you can take Z axis. So with respect to this, I can describe the position of a body with respect X axis, Y axis, Z axis, and even with respect to time also. For example, I'll take an example here. So we'll take X axis and Y axis. Suppose there is a body here. I'll write the coordinates are 2, 3. What does that mean? It means that the position of this body, okay, this is 2 meters and this is 3 meters from origin. That means from x-axis, sorry. So just by knowing the coordinate, we can identify the position of the body. Suppose if I write the coordinates of the body are -2, -3, then we take in the fourth quadrant, somewhere the body is at this point. Because this, sorry, -x, -y this side. -x, -y is this side, third quadrant. So we'll say that the body may be at this point. So just by looking at the position of the body changing. So these coordinate axes will give you an idea about the position of the particle in space or in a plane. So a reference frame is nothing but a coordinate system used to describe the position of a particle or a body. Now, if you look at these directions are also very, very important. And this is say east, this we say west, and this we call north, and this called south. Remember, here, for example, you look at a car is moving on the road. If you look at, for him, he'll say that for this person A and this person B, if you look at, for him, if we observe, okay, the direction north is towards his right hand and south is towards this side, right? And the way he observes and A and B observes are different, because suppose when you look at the person in the car, okay, for him, the person A and person B are different. Why? Because their observing points are different. Person A observes the car in one way, person B observes the car in another way. Suppose if they are walking, their motions also, car motion also changes. So whenever reference frame changes, the motion also changes. Best example I can give you this. Suppose you are sitting in a car, okay, and the car starts moving. See, when the car is moving, okay, say for example, you feel that there are 2 persons inside the car, okay, and there is 1 person outside the car. Let us take these are A, B, and this is C. So with respect to A, C is, he feel that he is moving. Because when we see that when the car is moving forward and you feel that this man is moving backward, it appears like this. Even for B also the same logic, okay. That means for A, C is moving backward, for B, C is moving backward. But with respect to A, B is at rest, and with respect to B, A is at rest because both of them are in the same reference frame. A and B are sitting in the car. With respect to each of them, they will be at rest. But when they observe C, they observe C. Now, when C observes A and B, for C, both A and B are moving. So what happens here? When you change the reference frame, the perception will change. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and we'll understand what is meant by rest and motion. This is a very important thing. When can I say that the body is at rest? When can we say that the body is in motion? And sometimes we all know that Earth will rotate and revolve about its own axis, and it is revolving round what called as Earth. So why we don't notice the rotation of the Earth? That's a question. Remember, we all feel that as if we are at rest. Why? Because everybody on Earth is also rotating with the same angular velocity. That's why we don't notice the motion of the Earth. So with respect to the Earth, everyone that is there on the Earth, they are at rest. Suppose if you observe from other planet or others, what called as a satellite or something, you feel that they are in motion. With respect to this other planet, we are all in motion. But with respect to Earth, we are at rest. So that means these rest and motion are relative terms. So with respect to one person, somebody can be at rest, and with respect to other person, somebody may be at rest. So what is rest and what is motion? Let me define the two terms. This is very important, very simple definition. So let me write what is rest, or when can you say that a body? A body is said to be in rest if its position does not change with respect to time and with respect to surrounding. So I'll repeat the definition what I said. A body is said to be at rest or in rest if its position does not change with respect to time and with respect to surroundings. Let me take a simple example. Suppose I have a table in my room. On the top of the table, I'll just keep one book. A book is placed on this table. Say at evening 7 o'clock, this book is on the table. I'll observe at 8 o'clock, it is on the table. At 9 o'clock, it is on the what called as same, right? On the same table in the same room. So I can say that this book is at rest because I am observing the book and the same table at all the times. Okay, so this book is said to be at rest. So we'll say that books in the shelf are at rest. All right. Now a building is at rest. A tree is at rest. Then what is the definition of motion? Let's understand. What is motion? A body is said to be in motion. A body is said to be in motion if its position changes with the time and with respect to time. I can change it with respect to time and with respect to its surroundings. With respect to its surroundings. Now listen carefully. For example, you take the same motion of a car, and if I take a car, okay, now when it started, it was at this point, say A. Remember, it is moving with velocity v sometime. Now after some time, it is at a building B. After some time, it is at building C. That means the position of the car keep on changing. So it is not at a single point. See here, initially it is at A, now it went to B, it went to C. So it's with respect to time, with respect to the surroundings, the car positions keep on changing. That's why we can say that a car is in motion. A bus, moving bus is said to be in motion. A bicycle is in motion. Okay, all that whenever their position changes, we call them as motion. As I said, rest and motion are relative. Let's take this example. You'll understand better. Suppose you look at this person A, person C, person B. The person A and person C and B are in this balloon, hot air balloon. So with respect to C, B is at rest. With respect to B, A is at rest. But if this person A observes both of them, he'll think both of, with respect to person A, both of them are in motion. But remember, even though C is moving and B is also moving, why he feel that C is always beside him? Because their velocities are equal. Both are traveling with same velocity. That's why their relative velocity is zero. Now the same example. You look at this person A and there is a person B, there is a person C. So with respect to A, B is at rest. With respect to B is at A is at rest. But with respect to C, both of them are in motion. That's why we call rest and motion are relative. Simultaneously, a body can be at rest, a body can be in motion. Remember, there is no absolute rest. There is no absolute rest. That means on earth, nothing can be at rest permanently because earth itself is rotating and revolving around the sun. Yes, we all are rotating. You are also moving along with earth. So absolute rest is not possible. Only there is always relative rest and there is always relative motion. Now, in this lecture, let us see the difference between distance and displacement. So let's understand what is distance and what is displacement. Let's take an example. You'll understand the difference between distance and displacement very well. Suppose I have a point A. A man want to reach the point B from point A. He'll take one path. He'll walk along this path and he may reach the point B. This is one way. Or he may travel another path like this. He'll reach the point B. Or there is one path he can take which is a straight line path along. So if you calculate, remember here is moving in zigzag path. The directions are not constant. But if you look at this path, everywhere he is moving along a same straight line. Here also the directions are keep on changing. If you look at this path 1, this path 2 and this path 3, which is the shortest? The path 2. And these two are compared to 2, they are longer. So we call this as distance and this as displacement. So what is meant by distance? What is meant by displacement? Let me tell you. See, he started from here and he went to, this is called the path of the person. If you measure the length of the total path, so the length of the actual path, is known as distance. So what is the actual path? From here he went like this. This is the actual path taken by the man. You measure the length of that path, that will give you distance. Then what is meant by displacement? Let's discuss. Displacement. See, we'll say that this is the starting point, this is the ending point. He started at A, he may took some different path. But remember, this is the shortest path. So we say that the shortest the shortest distance between starting point and ending point is known as the displacement. The shortest distance between starting point and ending point is known as displacement. Now we need to have some more comparisons between distance and displacement. Very, very important. As I said, if you look at direct straight line, and this is what called as no fixed direction, this is distance and displacement. The first and foremost point is distance. Distance can never be negative or zero. Remember, distance is always a positive number. It can never be negative. It is always positive. Whereas if you look at the displacement, displacement can be positive, negative, or even zero also. Let me tell you when the displacement becomes zero and when it be positive or negative. Let's take an example. Suppose a man starts from the point A, he'll go to the point B, okay, and he again comes back. He again comes back to the same point A. He starts at A, he'll go to B, then again comes back. So this is D1 and same. Let's take the length of the path is this. So here in this case, what is the distance traveled? What is the total length of the path? 2D. And what is the displacement? 0. Because before it was at A, again it was at the same point. We said displacement is 0. So or else we say that if we can write this point, if a body reaches its initial position after covering some distance, its displacement is 0. If a body reaches its initial position after covering some distance, its displacement becomes 0. So from this we understand that yes, displacement is positive or negative, even 0 also. So we can say that the one having direction we call it as a vector. The one which do not direction is called a scalar. So from this we understand distance is a scalar. Yeah, scalar. Whereas displacement is a vector. Distance is a scalar, displacement is a vector. Now, next point. Is there any situation where distance is greater than displacement, or distance is less than displacement, or distance is equal to displacement? Let us see. See, generally, suppose if a body moves along a straight line path, it starts at the point A and it will go to the point B. In this case, distance is equal to displacement. Now, suppose second, let us take, it starts from the point A, it will go to the point B, again it will come to point C, then somewhere it stops at the point to D. So in this case, what is the distance traveled? A to B, B to C, and C to D. But what is displacement in this case? Displacement is this. So remember, in this case, displacement is less than D. In this case, distance is equal to displacement, but in this case, displacement is less than D. Now, let us do one more example. Suppose a body is moving on a circular path, or displacement we can say, or otherwise I can say distance is greater than displacement. That way also we can say. Now, suppose a body is moving on a circular path, same thing. Suppose if it completes one rotation, its distance, suppose if I take r is the radius, distance is 2 pi r, displacement is 0. So in all the three examples, we understand that, yeah, distance is equal to displacement when the body moves along a straight line, but there is one condition, I'll tell you, and distance greater than displacement. Here also distance is greater than displacement only. So under no situation, displacement can never be, very, very important point. Displacement can never be greater than distance. Okay, or we always say that distance is greater than or equal to displacement. That is magnitude of displacement, we say. So we generally write like this. It's a vector, we take the magnitude. Now let me tell you, there is one important condition we have to understand. When this D and S are, there is one more condition we add to this. For example, if a body travels along a straight line, along a straight path, and direction of motion does not change, then D is equal to S. Very, very important, application. So I'll take an example, you'll understand better. Again, let's take, it starts at A, it went to B, this is a point B, which is at 10 meters. Now remember, it changes the direction, again moving in a straight line path, it travels 5 meters. Then again it changes its direction, and now it is at this point. Again it comes to, let's take this as C, now let's take this as D. Now in this case, if I want to calculate distance, 10 plus 5 plus again 10, so total it is 25 meters. But remember, if we want to calculate displacement, what is the initial point? This is the final point. So what is this 5 meters? So remember, here, even though it is moving in a straight line, why S is not equal to D? Because here and here the direction of motion have changed. Suppose if the body travels like this, it travels from A to B 10 meters, B to C 5 meters, C to D another 10 meters. See, everywhere the direction is same. Now in this case, what is the distance? 10 plus 5 plus 10, nothing but 25 meters. What is the displacement? Again same, 10 plus 5 plus 10 is equal to 25 meters. So in this case, if you look at distance is greater than displacement, but in this case, distance is equal to, in both the cases, the body is moving along straight line. But remember, here the direction of motion have changed, but in this case, direction of motion have not changed. So today in this class, we understood what is meant by, just I recap what I have learned till now. So today in this class, I explained what is meant by mechanics and what are the two branches of mechanics, then what are the two branches of dynamics, that is kinetics and kinematics, and then we discussed about what is the difference between particle and a body. Then we discussed about why should we study mechanics, what are the applications of mechanics, then explain what is meant by particle and a body. Yes, again, and I explained what is meant by reference frame and how a reference frame helps us to what called as give the position of a body. Then I explained what is rest and what is motion, why we always say relative, there is no absolute rest, why it is not possible. Then ultras we discussed about distance and displacement, when they're equal, which is positive, which is negative, when the displacement is zero, all this. I hope you all understood my what called as video explanation, and if you understood well, please leave your comments and share with your friends, and please subscribe my channel. Thank you. Thanks for watching.